All right. Well, hello to anyone who's watching the replay. Who knows if we are actually properly live yet. But if we are, hi. Hope everyone's having a really good Friday night or Saturday, depending on where you are. And welcome to the next Innkeeper Chronicles discussion.
I'm just going to keep dancing.
The usual suspects are here.
Yeah.
As you may or may not be here, she's got some things happening this weekend.
I'm not like other girls. I only appear on live shows.
That is correct.
I almost put up a video to spite you before this, and then my job gave me so much work that I didn't have any free time, and I was very sad.
You almost put up a video, and then you didn't. How about that?
That's very on brand.
I have the footage. Like I can show you the footage, but there's no sound on it because
I believe
it needs a voiceover. So if you just want like 30 minutes of mute, I can put it up now.
Hello,
Sounds
hello.
lovely.
And anyone who's here has probably already seen it, but we are referencing Heather's most recent video, and it is fantastic. Please
It
go
is great.
watch
Y'all
it.
should check it out.
Thank you. It's done.
I'm
I'm
not
looking
laughing
right now
hard.
at the order stuff.
I've not laughed that hard in a very long time. It was quite literally the first thing I watched when I woke up.
I'm so glad. I was just like, I don't know if this is any good at all, but I'm gonna put it up. So I'm glad.
Look, anyone with a sense of humor loves it. And if you don't have a sense
Agreed.
of humor, then you need to work on that. Anyway.
And if you hear random noises, spouse is being a doll and reformatting my whole computer.
Oh,
good job.
Good job, spouse.
They said good job, spouse. He said thank you. He hates being on camera, so he's going to be far, far away.
That's fair.
But I was just like, hey, my computer not working, my desktop. He was like, okay, we'll reset it.
Nice.
It does need to be done.
What'd you guys think of the book? If you will,
like
the original trilogy.
Like the current standing of the inn, it's a 2.5.
Wow.
What? Controversial.
That was a burn.
It was, but it's kind of accurate. It's probably not a 2.5, but it is lower than the first one because there wasn't enough Sean. And
not much Sean.
And everyone just made me extremely angry, like except for Dina. And I hate George. George made me angry, and the vampires made me angry. And the hope crushing horde everyone just made me angry.
Wow.
And the merchant.
I think that's the point though.
I'm like, I don't need this manipulation. I just need Sean and Dina.
To be fair, though, you don't typically end a decades-long, extremely bloody, ongoing, never-ending war just by, I don't know, having tea together.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be nice if you did?
He saved hundreds, thousands, millions, I don't really know, lives, right? So his shady, underhanded dealings were not just him being shady and underhanded. They were for a purpose and a cause and for a result that ultimately everyone was willing to sacrifice to get. So even if they didn't like the methods, he still delivered for them.
Oh, by the way, we're jumping straight into spoilers, y'all. So if you didn't read this,
what else is new? What else is new for us?
There is no reason. I'm so sorry if you are here, but there is literally no reason to watch these live shows if you don't want to talk spoilers. Like this is for the super fans, basically.
We're discussing a book. Spoilers.
The only person I think who shows up without reading it is Bree, Locked Booktician Bree. She's like always popping in. I know she didn't read the book.
Yeah.
So she's very sweet. But the rest of you, you're here for the spoilers. And if you're not, I'm sorry. You should be. You are now.
See, because I haven't read the Edge
Clean sweep
series.
was better.
Yeah. Well, because I haven't read the Edge series, like I don't know where George fits in to the Edge series.
I didn't realize until I was trying to figure out the names of the peacekeepers. I forgot what their name. What their starts with an A. The Arcana, not Arcana. Anyways, I forgot what their names were, so I went and I looked on like Goodreads, and it was like George, Jake, and blah 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 from the Edge, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But see, I don't think they're main characters in the Edge series for what people have told me. And I will go back at some point and read those books just out of interest. Oh, sorry, I've read the first one.
I don't really remember George from the Edge. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah, which is why I think there's I think he's a side character. I liked Sophie. I would have liked Sophie's story.
Yeah, she's cool.
Obviously,
I like her.
Sophie and George are going to be a love story if they ever get their own book.
Yeah.
True.
And like I think maybe second time around because I knew that George was manipulating the whole thing. Like
apparently they were kids.
Yeah.
In the Edge. Interesting.
Okay. Oh. They were kids. Who's kids?
Well, I mean, I guess if we
books, and it's been a minute since I read them, but
I'm sure we'll read them eventually as we keep going through these Ilona Andrews books.
Right.
Yeah. But
they are good, just like everything else by them, but
yeah.
It's just been forever.
I think I find it interesting watching how George manipulates the situation and then how Dina responds to it once she realizes what's going on. Because she knows.
Sophie pointed out that her reaction was what he was counting on.
Yeah. And I think because we don't get his perspective, he's almost framed as not an antagonist or a villain, but he's as the person who is the opposite of Dina in the story, which I find interesting to read, but we don't get his perspective, so we don't get his motivations until Dina figures it out.
We get him in the prologue talking about how bored he is by basically running a kingdom, right?
Yeah, and being recruited by Dina's brother.
Yeah. I was listening to Changeling Cast, which is Mara from Books Like Woe, her podcast, where she's doing this whole second season is Innkeeper Chronicles, right?
Oh, cool.
And so she was talking about how Ilona Andrews' books always have that like shock and awe reveal moment. A lot of times their main character knows so much, right? Like Kate Daniels, obviously you can name any obscure thing and they're going to know what you're talking about. And same thing with Dina. Like she has so much knowledge on how to deal with any situation she comes in contact with. And she talked about how George kind of fulfilled that role in this book. And she didn't like that as much. That wasn't Dina. I think for me, I don't think it really bothered me. I agree that I do kind of like my main character to be the one that's more clever than everyone else. But I felt like with George, they did a really good job because there were points in the book where you were genuinely angry with him. And yet again, at the end, you're kind of like I get it. I don't know that I would necessarily agree with all your choices, but I do get, and I don't think you're a terrible person. I think you're not the nicest person, but I don't think you're terrible.
He's a win at all costs person.
Right, exactly. And also it was interesting, especially like the conversations with Sophie. I think that was meant to like humanize him a little bit more about how he'll win at any cost, but also he's going to be the one that pays the most. Like pays the most of that price. He's not just taking things from people without expecting any sacrifice from himself. He's often giving more than he's asking you to give, right?
Yeah.
That was interesting too.
Yeah, and I also thought it was interesting that at the end we find out that it was his first case as an arbitrator. That they basically gave him the the unattainable job.
Yeah, they gave him the impossible job.
Right. And also that Dina kind of got some of her lick back by like putting him on the problematic guest list
Yeah.
so she could just charge him
Yeah.
anything she wants for him to have to do anything on Earth.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think like I quite liked him as a character just because he sits in that morally grey area without being a villain. And I like those characters.
Kind of like what?
Rose is the oldest sister to George and his brother.
Yeah, I'm trying to answer her now. I have to get back in the live because I locked my phone.
Oh no. I was like, that means nothing to me. Like I haven't read the series, so I'm just like, interesting.
Although when he deliberately cut down the trees,
I was heartbroken. I was like, the trees. I do like that she literally made his water so cold that there were ice flecks in it. That was funny.
That was funny. Rose is the main character in the first book of The Edge. So she is like taking care of her younger siblings and stuff, which one of them is George, apparently, which I did not realize. So that is so interesting.
That's interesting. It's the only book that I've read in that series, and I totally forgot.
Well, yeah. And then Rose, she has a romance with like a kind of a Fae Lord type guy. And so their life circumstances obviously change. So while George is still a child, he's put more in the political elite, which makes sense of how he kind of ends up here. But
I do like that he's like a spy. Yeah, spy master.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Completely right. 100%.
And
he
like
can get ice baths for the rest of his life.
$1,000 for them, but that did not like cost him anything really.
Yeah.
The ice cold water for days on end was more of a personal payment.
Yeah. And I like in a lot of ways, I think like in the first book we had Dina sort of using her power to show people, you can't cross the inn and the innkeeper. I mean, she was playing a lot with Sean, but I think she wielded a lot more in this book and was establishing herself as almost as a force to be reckoned with within the inn more in this book because there was the incident with the vampires and they turned up early.
Which that was so
he threatened George and the brother and the cousin.
I was sad there wasn't more flirting from the vampire, I will say.
I
wanted more. I wanted something. Give me something.
Right. I love, speaking of like, this is jumping around, but I love just how like devastated Arlen was that she picked the other vampire to talk to first. Like he couldn't understand why she would do that.
I love that. Have I offended you?
And she was like, I was getting him out of the way, and he was like, aha, so we could be alone.
But yeah, like she wielded that power a lot more in this book, and people were forced to recognize that, because I think they knew Innkeepers, but they misjudge her all the time because she's whether because she's a woman or because she looks like she isn't a strong character.
I don't think that's because she's a woman necessarily, because they have the people that we were dealing with, they're not really a gendered society in the sense that like they're women or warriors as well, right? Are respected warriors and leaders.
I was more referring to that one.
They definitely underestimate her, and I think part of it is just like they're used to being the biggest and the baddest, and you don't appear to be intimidating.
It's like I think the main part of it is she doesn't look intimidating like at all. Like she's a fairly like average sized human woman, which is why she was wearing the black robe at the end, because she's like, no, I need to look intimidating, and this is the only way I can look intimidating.
Well, and not even just a black robe, but one that like consumes light. You know, like you literally. That was very interesting.
I loved that robe. That robe was legitimately awesome.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think that it did a really good job. Like I loved this book. And I think maybe even this book might be why I remembered this series as not really having a lot of romance in it, whereas there was quite a bit of romance in the first book, and I was very surprised by that because I was like, I don't remember it like really having a lot of romance. Obviously this book didn't, which was kind of a little bit of like a weird change of pace. But I really, really liked the political machinations and how we were like trying to work with all these different groups who are trying to kill each other, who also have such like personal reasons to want this to succeed, but also their belief systems, their way of life, all the things that they've lost. There's this saying, right? Don't keep making a mistake just because of how much time and money or you've invested in making it already.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much that. It's like, we have already paid so much blood for this. We can't just stop.
Yeah.
We can't just go walk away with nothing.
Yeah.
And so I really liked it, even though it was, it didn't flow from the first book quite as well as you might expect.
But
Because of the romance, I think.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because I think I might have thought of this differently if Sean wasn't in it at all, because it's kind of that bridging book where she's thinking, where Dina is establishing herself as an in and as a force to be reckoned with. And when Sean pops up when Sean comes back, that's really reestablishing the relationship that we had in the first book without really reestablishing it. So that's where it sort of felt a bit disconnected, maybe. But
right. I think
like
they never do a book where you don't see the love interest at all.
Yeah.
They definitely do have books and series. Think of like the first 3 Kate Daniels books, 2 Kate Daniels books. Well, you do have Curran in them, right?
Yeah.
His page time is not a lot at all.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like this, where like she's thinking about him almost more than you're actually seeing him.
But see, there's also that interesting, when Dina goes back to the market to meet with, and I've forgotten his name, the weapons dealer.
Yeah.
And I think it's the second time when she's realized where Sean is. And it was the conversation around how Sean really wasn't sure of how he felt about it. Like, he was using Dina initially as this light because he's a soldier and he's gone off to war, and he's idolized her essentially in that moment because he's in a really dark place, and they haven't had time to establish a relationship because really the time they spent together was so short. And I thought that was really interesting because this was the book that I remembered the events of the book, but not where it sat in the story the most. Like this entire sequence is probably the strongest memory I have of the series. But I couldn't remember where it sat, and I couldn't remember how Sean and Dina were involved in that story until I reread it. And I'm very eager to read the next book because I think that will help tie it back together. Like it's weird because I can remember certain things of the series, but I can't remember it in the right order.
I didn't remember any of this stuff, like any of it at all. The only thing I know for sure that still happens in the series is that we meet her sister. Like, I remember that, and that's it. I could not tell you what the third book is about. And I definitely did not know what this one was going to be about. So it was all new to me, even though I had read it the first time. I did vaguely, when we met the chef, I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this. And like, that was it.
No, like the entire sequence, because I like scenes where you have to bring together different groups of people who have different ideologies and who have to find a way to connect.
Right.
And I think that's what I took away from the series was there was this one scene, because I loved all of it. I loved Dina setting up the inn and setting up the space for everyone, taking into account everything that they would need, and her negotiating with them throughout the stay for the things that they would need to keep everyone from killing each other.
Right.
But yeah, anyway.
I think my main issue with this one, because of what you were saying earlier, based on between this and Kate, is that Kate started as like an independent human, and so even though Kern wasn't there, like it set that tone and pace, and then it like went up into a romance. Where this one, it was like building to a romance and then just like straight drop into like politics and nothing. And so I was just very confused.
That's
It was a
fair.
very, very stark change in like the romantic subplot.
Yeah, and like I've never thought of this, like there's always a romance in their stories. Like we've talked about that heaps of times. I've never thought of this series as a romance as such. Book 4 is different because it's specifically a romance between two characters, and that's how it's set up from start to finish. But this one, like the first 3 books in this, like I remembered it took 3 books. So my expectations of the relationship being established were not as strong as, say, Kate Daniels or Hidden Legacy, because they were very heavily set up.
I think for me, it's like, yeah, it was a little bit weird. It was a little bit weird that there wasn't that much romance, but it just didn't ding it for me. Like I didn't lower my rating. I still had a great time. Like I was happy.
It's kind of like that cozy fantasy sort of thing.
There was too much manipulation and not enough kissing for my taste. Okay, it needs to balance out somewhere.
You're not wrong on the kissing, but I do love like the manipulations and people trying to outsmart each other, and like the big reveal of like, and I know what you did, and you know all of those things. Also, I did look at a review on Goodreads, and George is definitely the younger brother of Rose. So, Francesca, you were correct on that. So that's exciting, like an exciting tie-in for us for the future. Can we talk about the police officer?
Oh, poor guy, man.
Car being sliced in half, and then he's bundled up in the stable, and then Dina, like, I understand that she didn't come up with this on her own. Other innkeepers have done it in the past, but just like the viciousness of, well, he'll remember everything, but no one will believe him because he won't have any proof. And just like the gaslighting.
Speaking of gas, I loved that the reason that she got like kind of got caught is because of how much he drove versus how much gas he used. And I was
like
like,
the vampire,
please, me too. I would love that.
The vampire engineer swearing he did not improve it at all.
Yes.
He just left it in its horribleness. And then
but even just him refusing to work on the car in the first place before anything happened.
I swore an oath.
Like that's a very interesting hill for a vampire to die on. I'm not going to fix this car.
I also
that was
really
so
liked
funny.
how there and later on, like we saw a lot of their spiritual leadership and how much of a role they played in peace, and also just in their society, like how much they valued their opinion.
Yeah.
And him like having to talk him into fixing the car.
I loved the merchants. The grandma does not lay her feet upon the ground because she's like holy, like, basically.
People.
And the grandma wants a small, vicious animal.
Yes. Oh my god. And they were describing it. I was like, it cannot be. I was like, it's either Garfield or Grumpy Cat. And then they kept describing it. I was like, is this Grumpy Cat? And then it was like they pulled up the thing, and I was like, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that was so cute. And then also Dina getting the unnamed, mysterious older cat.
His name was Count.
Yeah, Count.
In the store, but she hasn't renamed him, so she just calls him the unnamed cat. And I was like, he has a name. It said his name was Count.
I'm sure Count will find a name for himself at some point.
Also, Caldania, is that her name? Just being like, you know, I'm going along, you're right, no one, like, poisoning you would be against their honor, so that's why you have to suspect it. And just like dipping the ring in, and him being like, that's offensive, and she's like, alas, I do not care.
I love her so much. I love her. And she was just like, oh, it's gonna get interesting, and she just like sits and watches just all of it unfold.
And also, like, she is so vicious, but also clearly like a political mind that is difficult to be rivaled, right? Like, take her advice, maybe don't kill all the people she tells you to kill, but otherwise, like, at least listen to her read on the situation.
Which Dina did. She always was like if Caldinia said something, she wasn't like, whatever, old woman. She was like, oh, okay, well, she has a point. Maybe I should like keep this in my mind.
Right.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like, my solution is not gonna be kill and eat them all, but
Right.
I need to like at least take what she's saying, like,
Right.
and keep it in my brain.
Yeah. I love her so much. And I love that when Otto decides that he's staying, she's like, oh, thank God.
I know, exactly. She's like, no offense, but the thought of going back to your cooking literally brought a tear to my eye.
I loved the chef so much.
He's great.
And she
He's
was just
so
like, oh yeah, my dad
morally-
said they're dramatic.
Yeah, he's so morally offended by everything. And he's like, but I will persevere through these conditions.
And he can't read English, so he just circles the HEB ad and is like, I need these. And I was like, that's hilarious. Also, that they had HEB there, great. I love it. I was just like, yeah, it is the grocery store.
Also, the fact that mango was like their kryptonite.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was amazing.
Although every time they were talking about his food, I'm like, I'm really hungry now.
I know. I was like, I want
Like
it.
3 ways. I'm like,
I love that you wanted like the gastromolecular cooking tools. Like I was like, I've heard of these before. I know like what these things look like, but I've never in my life ever thought to eat with these things. Like
Iron Chef America.
Yeah. And he was really good in the graphic audio. Like it was peak dramatic in the graphic audio.
See, I have the regular audio, and I didn't like this book enough to immediately listen to it on the graphic audio like last time. And I hated that they called the grocery store the Heb, which no one except for Texans understands because it's not Heb. That's not the name. The name is HEB. So I was just like, they were like, and then they got an ad for Heb, and I'm like, Heb? What the heck is Heb? And I was like, oh, HEB. Yeah, I do love that his grocery list is just circling the those daily, weekly ads that come in the mail.
Yeah.
He's like, I need these. The mint, it's old.
And I did like that someone else drunk on coffee.
I love that.
When he got him drunk on coffee was great.
Well, and he got him drunk on purpose, and he was like, he needs this. Like, he needs to let go. It's fine.
I just love how like casual, like Dina was like, why is he at the Keurig? And just like, okay, whatever. And then just hands the coffee. It's a man's drink.
And because the I've forgotten the name of the vampire's spiritual.
I was thinking, and then I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and just like the conversation Ben had. It's like, why did they get drunk and get naked and run around after drinking coffee? And then he's like, did he happen to mention so and so's?
Did he happen to mention his cousin's wife is human?
We need that story.
So funny. I know. And they even had an explanation for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just a funny little quirky thing that pops up, and every time it pops up, I'm gonna laugh.
It's so funny. His wife is human. Has he told you that?
Right.
Yeah.
Stares at Dina. Hint, hint.
The other thing that made me laugh was all of the greetings to the Hope Crushing Horde, and just how it's like, greetings, da 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 da, and spit on my hospitality and whatever.
I'll slit your throat.
I'll slit your throat. I loved that. The Hope Crushing Horde is the best name for a group of people.
Yeah.
With the Horde, when the one warrior is gonna step in or whatever, and the female warrior is like, no, I have an interest in you keeping your genitalia. And he was just like, why would she care? And he's just sitting there thinking about it, and then it dawns on him, and he runs over to her and is like, hello.
You can see the light bulb come on.
That was funny.
That was great. Why does she care about my genitalia? It's like, I wonder why she cares about your genitalia.
It was such blatant flirting, and he was like, what? Also, the merchants indebting their young to them so that they
was so messed up.
That's one of those things where, for me personally, I'm just like, I would be angry too. I would be taking contracts too. But then also, when you are in a society with where like generations live together and you have that community and that familial, like it's different. It's different. For me, I'm
Yeah.
like, I would hate that. I would not be. But then a lot of times you're like, well, no, you are safe here with people who love you and they do love you and they're not doing it to be malicious, and you will do it also when you're older because you'll see the wisdom of it. But as like an outsider, it's like, no, I don't like that.
Yeah.
It was some boomer parenting.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Good
There are better ways to parent than going invisible and stealing a giant diamond or emerald that this kid was so sickeningly worried about that he slept on the floor because he couldn't find it. Like,
Cookie
no.
was very cute.
Poor Cookie. He tried so hard. He's like, I can't go to sleep yet. I have to find it. I have to find it. And I'm like, Cookie, my poor boy. And then, oh, your family stole it. And you would have never known. So you would have just been wrought with this guilt for years.
Yeah. Justice for Cookie.
Justice for Cookie.
Yep.
Cookie's the sweetest little fox boy.
Yeah.
He is.
But yeah, like the actual reason behind the merchants being involved in the war and having, what did they call the character that was
Exiles?
No, the character that Sean was embodying. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know, the dark hooded dude.
Yeah, that one. Like I just felt so bad for that group of people. And I think that was the something that was done really well, was like eventually we got all of their stories and we pieced together just how horrific the entire situation is, because no one ever sat down and actually had a conversation about it in the first place.
Because their pride and grief
stood
in the way.
Yeah. And like that final sequence where Dean is using Gertrude Hunt to basically share everyone's memories with everyone.
That's a lot of like grief all at once though, man. It is.
I know.
Therapy for like at least a decade to go through all of that. And it's not even yours.
Yeah.
But I hated that they just kept employing essentially soldiers to die.
Yeah.
To pretend to be this creature.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reality is war is always horrific.
Yeah.
Nobody wins. It's always horrific. The only people who ever win from that are the elite who were never on the forefront anyways, who now have more riches or more land. But it's never the people that are involved.
But they tricked Sean. I didn't like that. It's like, y'all literally poisoned Dina and then you tricked Sean to like bring her back to life. That's messed up.
Yeah.
And,
he was tricked into the position in the first place because they used his sense of honor and his sense that he wanted to learn more about the universe, and he had this innate need to protect everyone, to basically put him into an impossible position, one that he couldn't turn down and then he couldn't turn away from.
I don't think that they did trick him in the first place, but obviously once they realized that that's where they were at, they took full advantage of that.
That's what the merchants did.
Right.
I think because he chose that
position. I think because they had the contract and they just, took another super soldier every time. Now, at the end, when he tricked him into saving, switching, then yes, he did. But at the beginning, like, they didn't know that he would be the best that they'd ever had protecting them. He was just the next one, right? And some of them left and some of them died. But he was the only one who kept staying because he had to, because of his literal nature, right?
Yeah.
But so I don't think that he was tricked into it initially, but then later, it's one of those things where you just, like, we aren't in that situation. We're never going to be in that situation where it's like, do something bad, arguably bad to someone else to literally save everyone you know and love. a lot of people are going to take that trade, even if they have to live with the horrific thing that they've done. A lot of people are going to choose everyone they know and love over you, even if what they're doing to you is wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was what we were illustrating.
Yeah. And I think like this point, this is really sad for sure.
I liked the idea of him being on a cruiser or a cruise ship, essentially, that they gave. Because I was like, oh yeah, then he does get to see like the galaxies, but no, he didn't. He just got dropped into another war.
Yeah.
The veteran got dropped into another war, and that's awful.
I agree with Stacy as well. You did feel sympathy for everyone in the conflict.
Yeah.
I think that was the point.
Right.
Oh yeah. If I had to guess.
Right.
Well, it's not even just Robart, but even the canoe talking about losing her children.
Losing her son. Oh.
And Dina recognizing that she's desperately trying to save the one that she has left, even if she can't say it out loud.
Yeah.
That's the part of the story that I like, was sort of those sort of personal stories.
And then, but now she has 3 whole groups of people who know about her parents and are potentially keeping an eye out to help, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and the respective 3 groups of people,
and also that the leader of the horde was like, I don't understand your motivation, and then she was like, oh, family, I understand.
Yeah. I like the leader of the horde. I liked her a lot.
I know this isn't technically correct based on their illustration stuff, but all I can picture is orcs. Like, my brain latched onto that, and that's all I've got. I just picture orcs for the entire horde, even though I know that's not actually what their features are.
Orcs versus vampires versus fox humans versus the ghost of Christmas future from like any Christmas Carol. That's what I pictured him as.
Yeah.
I can't think of which Christmas Carol it was. It might have been Muppets, or it might have been like one of the other ones. But he has like that giant dark hood. You can't see past it.
Assassin's Creed, their robes and stuff. I pictured that with like you couldn't see the face. It was just
no, I pictured, especially because they said that like they all got this, like the hair stood up on end. Yeah, see, I don't have a book. I have sound. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I saw that illustration. That's why I pictured Assassin's Creed.
No, I have audio, and based on what it said in my audio, I pictured the Ghost of Christmas Future.
Where are the other ones? What I should actually do is mark where the illustrations are, but I never do that.
Yes,
I would like to see the illustrations. I haven't seen any of the illustrations from any of the books.
Like if you do true. We showed you last live show, didn't we?
Okay, that's true. You showed me a couple. You showed me the one of her family, I think.
Wow, the audacity.
If you do a Google search, they come up and you get the color ones.
Oh, cool.
Just do Innkeeper Chronicles.
Megan's not going to remember to do that.
I can do it right now. And I'll remember.
Right. Like we had that illustration and I still couldn't stop picturing orcs.
Yeah. But see, I did the same sort of thing with Oro. Even though I know he's got quills and he kind of looks like an echidna or a porcupine or whatever. That's not what I pictured in my head, because he's a red cleaver. And in my head, I was thinking more in terms of Fae terms, goblin red cap sort of characters, because that's just what came to mind. But I'm like, no, that's not at all what he looks like.
Yeah. Did you ever read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black stuff?
I tried.
Yeah.
It was boring, so I stopped.
I read
the first 2 and got angry.
Boring.
No, I just got angry. I like the first book.
Couple of haters in here.
I got like 2 chapters in and was just like,
hey, I read 2 books.
Something else.
2 books in the series.
I did almost DNF that first book, but then I was so happy I stuck out because I ended up loving it. But again, I love like court intrigue and things like that.
Yeah. I like Fae Court stuff. It was just a bit teen drama-y for me in the end. Like I want the adult Fae Court drama because it's always far more interesting.
Right. Yeah, you're not wrong. There's like another series where you get the red capsin, but I can't remember which one it was. But I don't know. I pictured like a little hedgehog man.
Yeah, this time I was much better. Like it had nothing to like the red cleaver thing had absolutely nothing to do with it. I just couldn't.
I'm the same though. Once I do get some sort of visual based on some other media that I've seen, it doesn't matter how many times you tell me that's not what it looks like.
Yeah.
My brain won't. I can't picture things well enough to change what I'm picturing, you know?
Yeah.
I picture things, not people. Like anytime they describe people, I can't picture people at all.
Well, I think I always said this. I can't visualize it all. So like I'm fully relying on things that I've seen before to try and
I never really I never visualized faces. That's always just like murky details. It's almost like a memory of something you saw on TV.
Yeah.
That like you can't quite grasp it. That's kind of what I'll have.
The Tron looks legitimately cool in color.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
It's cool in color.
Impressive. Then he goes back to his jeans and his t-shirts and his crew cut.
And I did like at the end that it's I was just rereading it before where was it the end? Oh, Kaldani had asked where Sean was and Dina just said he'll come around when he's ready. I was like, I like that.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't see anything at all. I wish I did, but yeah, it's got nothing.
I thought it was mine's like fragments, snatches of this and that, and nothing. I have never really seen anyone else correctly describe how I visualize. I know it's like, you know, kind of in the middle somewhere of the spectrum, but like the illustrations and stuff that people have to illustrate it don't really line up with what I see at all.
No. And look, I think with that, it's all a spectrum. And
Mom
and I were talking about it the other day because she's like, no, I see it like a movie. I'm like, I wish I did, but no.
Yeah.
And then I felt really bad about teaching kids to visualize at school, knowing that half of them probably can't visualize at all.
Right.
I also see it as a movie, but like all of the people are not like fully defined. Basically.
Yeah. Spectrum.
Like, yeah.
Great.
I was like, because all of the stuff is in great detail. Like, I can picture the inn. It's probably not the way that like it's supposed to be, but I have like very distinct picturings of what the inn and like the surrounding areas look like. But then like all of the people are just like vaguely formed. So it's like, yes, this is a person, but there's no like definition.
Right.
Like this is a darker skinned person or a lighter skinned person with blonde hair or whatever. That's it.
I'll be able to visualize like the police car because that's such an everyday object. Much better than any of the other things.
Yeah.
And it's not really that important, but that's what my brain's like, oh, we know what this is.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the book?
I don't think I wrote any notes this time, so
wasn't as good as the first.
Did I write anything? No, I did not.
I wrote down some notes this morning when I was saying to Megan before I reread a favorite book last night, and therefore everything in my brain is about that. And I'm like, hang on, I need to actually switch gears and think about
what did you reread? I
reread the rest of the story by Tal Bauer. So hockey romance, totally different, totally opposite end of the spectrum. But because I read it and I read Clean Sweep. I keep calling this book Clean Sweep. That's the other thing that I keep doing.
I know. I can't.
I read Sweep in Peace at the start of the month, and then I listened to it again last weekend in the graphic review. and it was like it was the best life. Like I just find this book really comforting, despite the fact that it is about something really horrific.
Mhm.
I might try the graphic audio before I jump into book 3. Towards the end of the month, next month, when I forget that we have a live show and I haven't even started it. But
I have faith in you.
That's right. I pulled it off my shelf so I'd remember. So I'd remember what the title is.
one fell swoop.
I'm really excited for that one.
I am.
I'm excited for all of them, but
I can't, aside from Maud being in this book, I can't remember anything else about it.
yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen.
I've never read any of them, so it's just a surprise every time for me.
Well, I definitely think there's more romance in book 3, so you should come back to happiness.
There's more romance in book 3 and book 4.
Huzzah! I do love me some romance.
Yeah. All right.
Also, her brother's name is Klaus, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they mentioned, I think in the prologue, that Klaus was the one that got George.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
So I was like, wait a minute, is that where her brother's been?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did think that it was funny that she talks about how she changed her Costco schedule so that hopefully she'll never run into the lady.
I love that.
Here she has
I
children,
feel that too.
so she won't be here during dinner time.
I feel that so hard as someone who has done something embarrassing and then just never gone back to like a restaurant or something. If it's a chain and I'm like, I can never go back to this Chili's, I will then go to the next Chili's.
Right. That's funny. That's funny. What else? So I definitely feel like there's more.
That was the main thing that I had wanted to point out was the Klaus thing.
All of the vampires of the Hope Crushing Horde playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, that was Call of Duty and Madden, both.
Yeah, the vampires were playing Call of Duty and the Horde was playing Madden.
Yes. That was hilarious.
I love that.
And also accurate.
I love that the Horde played Madden and then after a certain point, they just started playing football in the backyard.
The other thing that I marked that made me laugh was that's the nicest "Here's your dishonored dead, piss off and don't come back" letter I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was good.
Yep.
And also the fact that they like showed up and you were like, oh, we're gonna have all these problems, and then they were dead in like 5 minutes, which was a problem, arguably, but that's funny. Oh yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was cool. I totally forgot about that.
About how like they originated from that one world, so they always go there first, but then like the Innkeepers, they don't have any way to direct or predict what other ones they'll go to. That was interesting too. And also that the vampire had to fight like the sea drake. Yeah. And then the chef was like, this is a delicacy. And he like cooked it. And then Caldania was like, oh, I love this. I'm so happy to have it again.
Yeah. I also found it interesting that while there's other worlds within the universe that the tree can go to, it can't go to places that are too similar to Earth because it's like other dimensions instead of other worlds. I thought that was kind of interesting because they were like, no, George, you come from another dimension. And I was like, what? We got dimensions in here too?
Yeah.
Right. It really is. It's the same continuation of them blending like science as magic. And I just really like how they do that in the series.
Yeah. I'm eager to go back to oh god, why am I forgetting what it's called? It's they're more sci-fi series. It's leans more
Fated Blades
or whatever.
Yeah, but there's 2 or 3 novellas before that one. Like, and I'm very intrigued because obviously they've connected The Edge and Innkeeper Chronicles by the dimensions, and I'm not sure. Like, I just can't remember if that other series also fits into that same thing. I could be way off, but
It's another series I never read, so I don't know.
yeah. I should have that one. Yeah.
It's just good.
I'm really
It was a
happy that
good
the
time.
cook stayed.
Yeah.
Me too.
I loved when she tried to hire him and he was just like, I've been disgraced. And I'm like, I feel this man, this creature, this being. I feel him in
Yeah.
my soul.
Yeah, that's one of the books. That's like a not AI, video game type style story.
Yes. All
Yes,
of them
this-
had to face the orchard.
Yeah. And when she made the room for
The
Sean
Tirana
without knowing that it was
room.
Sean,
hmm
and also when she made Sophie's room,
Yeah.
because she had so little information to go on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very fun watching her. They have just enough, I feel like, of manipulating the end to where like you're not bored of
Mhm.
like the interior decorating and stuff, but it's, I don't know, a nice
The
addition.
chef in the inn fighting each other because he broke a plate was so
Oh
funny.
yeah. That was funny.
It won't let me have the plate because I broke the last one. The inn is like, don't break my stuff.
Mhm.
But even him just walking into the kitchen the first time and going, it's not big enough, and she's like, open the door.
Mhm.
Here is all the stuff.
Oh yeah, and the chef was saying not again.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
The inn has a great personality, and when she was sad and crying and it like had a little flower, I was
Yeah.
like, I love this inn.
Yeah,
Gertrude Hunt had my heart. I love Gertrude Hunt.
I know, right? It's just greatness.
Mhm.
Such an interesting concept that they really do justice to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, when the vampires, I'm just gonna start mentioning funny things that I remember. When the vampires came in through the front instead of the back, and
Right.
you just have a very angry Dina just being like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And then
And
George
then she just
being
traps.
like, I have this leather from your literal head of state giving me power of life and death over you. So
Yeah,
do
I
not
just
pull these
love that.
shenanigans again.
I just love that one of the vampires instantly just got sucked into the void somewhere, and then the other one got trapped in the ground.
And she forgot about him.
Now that I've had my punishment, can I have my warrior back? And she's just like,
Oops.
oh crap. And then play it cool. Yes, I will. He's already been returned to your room.
That was hilarious.
Yes, this was part of the punishment all along. I totally did not forget that I took one of your men.
That was good.
Because that was when both Robart and Arland were trying to talk to her, and she's like, "Gentlemen, you don't. I'm a person. You don't have to storm the castle." Because they're just.
Oh my god,
Also,
she made the
treadmill.
walking treadmill
Yeah.
thing. And they just kept running on the treadmill.
Oh, that was funny.
I loved that.
Yeah. And
I do
also,
love Arland as a character, and I like him. Like it was great in the first book where he's got that thing with Sean, but just even in this one, as he's realizing it's more of a friendship thing that he has with Dina and a more of a respect thing as well. It's like, I like him.
yeah,
Mhm.
I like him too.
Yep,
Yeah.
George coming in like he's done this a million times, just being like, this is why I'm doing it this way, Dina. And then she's like, this is your first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You son of a gun, this was your first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked that the arbitrators endorsed the inn despite the fact that they probably should have knocked off stars for her.
Right.
Yeah.
And so instead of knocking them off, they didn't move
left
it.
it alone.
Mhm.
I did like that Dina talked to Sophie about stopping the like intake of magic because George would have killed himself for it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I do like that Dina actually, like, even though she was mad at him, she was still like, it's not worth your life.
Yeah.
Right.
He,
Well, and also, again, that was kind of like making him more likable because he would have given his all.
mhm.
Yeah.
I'm really excited
Oh,
to get
George.
back to the Edge series, knowing that little George, all grown up, is the arbitrator.
I want more Jake. I think that was his name.
Huh?
The one that was I think he was a Lynx shifter.
Oh, yeah, George's brother.
Yeah, I think his name is Jake. I loved him because he was like, why does George
That
get
was
special
George's
treatment? And she's like,
brother?
oh,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, because I don't
And
like
that's
you.
Jack.
And he was like,
That's
that's
Rose's
fair.
little brother too.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
Jack. Yeah,
Jack,
so
okay.
Jack and George are brothers, and then the other one is the cousin.
Yeah, so
I
they're
just
both
like
in
Jack.
the first book of the Edge, so that will be fun.
Jack made me laugh.
It's interesting that they have a necromancer and a shifter in the same family.
It gets explained. There's a lot of
I know it will be explained, but I can't remember why. So I'm like,
yeah, there's a lot of interesting factoids with that. I don't really remember of the details. I just remember being like, huh, for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just really liked Jack's personality. Made me laugh.
Mhm.
It's like, why does he get special treatment and you want to kick me out? She's like, oh, because I don't like you. And he's like, that's fair.
Mhm.
Just like straight up, he's like,
Get
I
that a
get
lot.
that. Okay.
Yeah. And
also them like
poor
testing
Murray
her.
dealing with Jack.
Jack was great. I could read more of just like adult Jack.
Oh, I have read the second Edge book a long time ago.
Okay.
That's a good factoid. Thank you.
We're gonna have to take like a weird innkeeper break as we get
We're
closer
going
to
to have to do a
current one.
sidestep into the Edge before we get to this. Oh, we can talk to Izzy.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I mean, I don't know.
Let's see how we're feeling.
I feel like maybe we just mention it, but stay the course.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. Whatever happens, happens at this point.
Agreed.
Partially because of, at least for me, in my memory, like I said, I've already read it, but it's not like I remember. Like I remember some things, but whatever she's talking about, I probably won't remember having happened, right? But then by the time we finish Innkeepers and finally actually start the Edge and finally actually get to the second book, I'll have forgotten the spoilers that we did anyways. Like I won't remember that we knew what happened.
Fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be like that to the same point. I think there's
Yeah.
If there was, they'd have told people to make sure that you read something before something else.
Because Iron and Magic is literally listed as Kate Daniels 9.5, whereas these aren't. So,
yeah. Oh, all right. Any last things to talk about?
No.
I think we've hit on all the funny things.
I'm good. I hit my list of funny things.
So even with all those funny things, it doesn't redeem it past a 2.5.
It does. It is not a. It's not a 2.5, but it is. It's like probably a 3.5. Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I still gave it 5 stars. I won't lie to you.
I gave the first one 5. This one frustrated me. If something frustrates me, I knock off stars. That's the main thing.
Same.
That'll get me.
Same.
Yeah.
I was
It
not
frustrated
frustrated.
Me.
Like I was okay, but if I had been, it would have lost stars.
I think it's because she almost died essentially twice, and I was just like, cool, I'm done.
When did she almost die the first time?
The poison, she almost died, and then when George manipulated her into doing the memory thing, they said that they either die or go mad.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, George was closer to dying than she was, but
good.
They both could have. Date for the next live, Stacy. We don't know for sure because we have some scheduling things up in the air. But it will either be, it will
probably the
basically
last Friday of the
definitely
month.
be either the weekend of the 24th and 25th of March or the weekend of the 31st first.
Yeah.
So we'll know
One of those two.
closer to then. It will definitely be one of those. It will probably be kind of last minute that we nail it down this time.
Yeah, it'll be towards the end of the month. It won't be earlier than that.
Yeah,
Right.
It'll be one of the last 2 weekends.
Right. If you've read it by the 24th, you're safe no matter what.
Yeah.
There's no way
Pretty much.
it'll happen before then. So
Yep.
And I did read the prequel
How was it?
late January. I'm sorry, do you not watch my wrap-ups? It's fine.
We're asking for
I'm consumed by your Pick Me Girl video. That's the only thing that's in my brain now.
I was left with more questions than answers, honestly. So it's one scene basically to very briefly sum it up. Her dad is imprisoned basically almost in a like non-physical barrier within this house, this like abandoned house that's on the market. And this realtor comes and shows the house, and anytime he's like, no, I don't want these people, he like haunts the house. Basically, he like moves objects and stuff. And the realtor is just determined to sell this house. And he really needs someone that he can influence to try and get to release him, basically. So Dina's mom and older brother and sister come to the house, and she can like hear him, and he's like, oh, that's a good sign. So he is like trying to force the realtor into getting her to take this house, and the realtor's like, I don't think that this is actually a good idea. And the mom is like, oh, I'm definitely gonna take it. And I was just like, what? Like, I don't know who or what you are or why she can hear you or any of the things. So I was very intrigued, but I didn't really get any answers.
So basically read if you are happy to have more questions than anything answered.
If you want to see a scene of them meeting and not even actually meeting, like he sees her and she hears him and that's it, right?
Something completely out of context.
What?
You want like a scene completely out of context?
Right. So it's not like they interact really. It's kind of funny because he's basically haunting the house, but like it's not a must, if you will, which is why in my wrap up I basically summed it up to like, if you don't want to read it, here's what happens, because it is just a scene. Like you either want to read it or you don't.
Yeah, fair enough.
Maybe we'll get that book someday.
I know, right? Also, I don't know if they said in the series, because I couldn't remember if I knew this or not, that he was Dina's dad, but not her brother and sister's dad.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't think that I knew that. I wasn't really sure.
I think I knew. That sounds vaguely familiar. I'm wondering if it comes up in the next couple of books.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was a little surprised to see 2 small children with her when she went to the house, but
yeah.
And also he like kind of comes off as very creepy, but he also like uses his powers to like rescue a mouse out of the basement and like shoo it out to the nature. So it's like, okay, so clearly you're not all bad, but like the rest of his kind of presentation is this creepy, I'm going to influence an innocent damsel and get her to release me.
Oh dear.
So, I mean, if you have the time and the inclination, read it. It's definitely like a less than 10-minute read, you know? So.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm like looking at their upcoming releases to see if
we are getting another Kate
We
Daniels
are getting another Kate Daniels one.
In June, right? June?
Yep. June 13th. Yep.
Which is June when we're finishing up Innkeepers? Is that right? There's 6 books? 6 months?
March, April.
Are there 6 books?
Hang on. Yes. No, hang on. March, April.
Yes.
Look at Goodreads. So yeah. So
Well, yeah, there's One Fell Sweep.
Yeah, because
There's
Sweep of the Heart
Sweeping-
just came out.
There's Maud's book. There's the novella. Then there's Sweep of the Heart.
full length. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
in June
One
we'll have
Fell
2 live
Sweep-
shows.
Hmm.
So that's very exciting.
And then after that, we move on to something else.
Yeah.
We
I'm
have to figure
definitely
out.
thinking. I mean, we'll see. But I'm definitely thinking that we could get maybe The Edge in this year as well.
Yeah.
Silent Blade, Silver Shark, Faded Blades. It's the Kinsman universe, is what it says.
And the first 2 are super short. They're both, from memory, well under
Novellas.
100 pages.
So
Faded
maybe we
Blades
can
is
do those in
Faded
the
Blades
same
is the
live
only.
show.
I don't
Yeah,
know what I'm
Faded
going to do
Blades-
when we're caught up.
Choose another
Or
author.
over again.
I mean, we're going to have to, unless we just want to like never do live shows again.
Well, I'm sure we'll keep doing the whatever Ilona Andrews releases, whichever series.
Right. We'll do the new
I don't know.
releases, but they don't release
I've been with
often
Steph
enough.
since
We're a
Nalini,
monthly type of group.
And we'll just pick another author. This is our version of a backlist read along.
It's
It
fair.
really is.
Start over. No, we'll pivot. We did Nalini, then we pivoted to Ilana. We'll pivot
It's
to
one of
something
those
else.
things where like I love like the 10 people that do this with us, but because I do love the book so much, like I don't care if anybody watches. I'm just like, yay!
Talk about the books.
Yeah, read and talk about it. So like I don't even know what we'd pick after Ilona Andrews that I would be as happy about. So I'll see.
No, we have at least a year to figure it out.
This is true. No use worrying about it now.
Anxiety.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
Oh no, you've told me about that one before. Hang on. I can't remember.
I'm trying to think of more sci-fi / urban fantasy books. We'll just start with all of the Ice Planet Barbarians. There's like 805 of those.
What is it?
Oh, I've seen this first book.
Yeah, it's Sean and Maguire's series. I've been meaning
Oh, okay.
I don't really know who that is.
Doesn't Sean and McGuire do a couple?
I have heard of the Octavia.
Something in Rue or something.
I've heard of the Wayward Children series.
There's
And
another
obviously
one
I've
that's
heard of
like
Middle Game. Okay.
You know, this is her urban fantasy-ish one.
Yeah, like it's something in Rue or I don't remember.
Yeah,
what it was.
Rosemary and Rue.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that I've read.
Bethany rated 2 stars. So.
Could make you all read TJ Klune with me again.
I've never read TJ Klune.
They're so sad.
But I also don't like crying. I remember feelings are bad.
I'm out.
There you go. This is an option. Maybe what we'll need to do is later this year, we'll get you guys to all suggest what it should be, and we'll look through and see if there's something we all agree on.
That'd actually be kind of cool.
I feel like my
I cannot do Immortals After Dark. I tried.
My kryptonite is that the reason why I'm able to commit to this read along is because I've read the books before. So I'm like, I know I like them.
Cool.
Otherwise, I literally wouldn't.
Here's an idea. We all choose a favorite book that we have to read with everyone that they haven't read.
Yeah.
We force Heather to read something that she doesn't want to read.
My favorite thing.
And then she gets to tell us how much she hated it.
I always hate them.
And I get to just have a giant raccoon next to me because she calls me a trash panda for my taste in books. Which I would like to say that my taste in books is mostly books you recommend to me. So
those ones are correct. It's the other ones that are the problem. I do love that series. I
don't think I've read that series.
Might get me with that.
I've only read the first couple of books in that series.
I don't even know what series this is. What series is this?
First of all, I've recommended it to you for sure.
I'm
first one is
asking what the
Dragonbound.
series is.
It's Dragonbound is the
Dragonbound.
first one.
Oh, I read the first one.
I knew
Yeah.
you did. I was pretty sure. Yes.
Yeah, no, I read the first
I
one.
think I've
That's
read the
it.
first 5 or
Bay and-
6. I
See,
never
so that's an
completed-
option to stick with Heather's. I have had to have read the books first.
Correct. I'm so sorry, but it is an actual requirement.
Yeah, I don't know. When we get closer to running out of books, I'll set up some sort of form or sheet, and we can put it on Steph's
Also, like I can
community
definitely
tab.
commit to like trying books, but I'm not committing to like a multi-book series that I don't know if I'm gonna like. Because I will
Well, maybe it's
read
a
it
case
so
of
much.
we try a couple of first books and then decide which one we want to continue.
Right.
Agree. Well, whenever we get closer to it, I'll throw
This
out a
is all
form
just
and have
speculation at this moment. Who knows what we're going to be like?
y'all
Eight
do
months,
it.
10
Maybe
months.
we'll hate each other by the end of this year. Who
That's
knows?
correct. I can already feel like the levels rising. There's only so much tolerance left. No, like I don't know. I just love this so much that I'm like, oh, I don't want it to end.
I know.
It is
But
like
we
a
have-
long
But sometimes it's just funny arguing
Yeah.
over a book if you don't like it and someone else does.
True.
Yeah.
See, we have 4
Pretty fun.
Innkeepers, and then like 2 or 3 Edge books.
Basically, we can count on at the end of this year only having either the Edge or what's the other one? I know
The Kinsman.
The Kinsman.
or Kinsman. Like we'll
Yeah.
finish one of those this year, and then we'll only have one left. So,
This is true.
Yeah.
which means this time next year we'll be done, basically, or March of next year probably we'll be done. So that's fine. We have a whole year. It's fine. It's fine.
Maybe they'll come out with another book in the Hidden Legacy series, and I would be very happy.
But the thing of that is, it's not really taking place because whatever release they have, we're going to have the live show the next week. Like, it doesn't
Oh,
matter
I'm aware.
if we already
But
had the
it
live
doesn't-
or
I
what.
still want Arabella's story.
I know, I do too. But it's never like a real continuation of the read-along because it's like
It's
just
true.
an automatic bonus. Like, we're doing it the next week.
Very true.
And we're back again.
Exactly.
Surprise.
All right. On that note, I think we should wrap it up because we're spiraling again. As
We're having
usual.
how's it?
Existential crises.
Yeah, existential crisis.
We don't need to have one of those on a Friday
The
night or a
read-along
Saturday.
ending a year from now.
Thank you to everyone who's watched and participated in the discussion. We will be talking about One Fell Sweep next month. So
Maybe I'll have a video out by then.
No, you won't. But Izzy will be with us, so
she will be with us then.
She will be with us, yes.
All right. Have a good night, everyone, or a good day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.